Hey yo, what is going on, viewers of the tube? My name is Tyler and welcome to the channel you come to get your daily fix of crypto content. Sometimes it feels like I have a line of Tyrone Biggums hanging at the corner.
Peanut butter and crap.
Y'all got any more of that crypto? Get out my trap house. You know the drill. It's time for Chico Crypto. Speaking about a fix, cash money could be considered one of the worst and most addicting drugs on this planet. It causes corruption, it causes people to change, it is responsible for more deaths than all other drugs combined, and then multiplied by 10,000. And just like drugs, it can be counterfeited, adding new levels of danger, corruption, and greed. And that is what we are going to dive into today, one of the biggest frauds in modern history, and something I have been wanting to talk about for a while. The fraud of the SuperBill, aka the SuperDollar. Now, the reason I have been wanting to talk about this is because Bitcoin is how I first heard about this fraud, which I will tell you about at the end. So first, what is the SuperDollar or the SuperBill? It is a counterfeit $100 bill, but can be others, that is so pristine and well done, it is virtually indistinguishable from the real 100. They pass all the normal counterfeiting detection procedures, like the pen, using light to find the shadows, and more. It literally takes forensic analysis to find the smallest microscopic mistakes to distinguish the bills from each other. And you know what? Someone somewhere on this globe is still free, printing hundreds of millions, with some saying into the multi-billions of these fake US bills. The person or group is still getting away with it. And since the beginning, there is the occasional arrest of an individual or group involved with the scam, but the criminal mastermind or minds are getting away scot-free. And what is even more damaging, it seems there is nothing the US government can do to stop it, if they actually want to. Now, I would like to thank a poster on Imgur who dropped a good breakdown of this story. The fuck am I signing up with Facebook? Good work. And their Imgur story is in the comments if you'd like to read. So it all began somewhere in the Middle East in the late 1980s. Rumors were circulating that someone was selling high-quality fake US currency. It was so good even the banks couldn't tell it was a phony. The right kind of paper, the right kind of ink, the shadows matched. It had every single security feature. Initially, the rumor was mostly dismissed, but some people started to get worried as the US banknote was the bill of choice. Their local currencies would go up and down in value. You can kind of think of it like this. The US dollar was the Bitcoin, and the Middle Eastern currencies were the shitcoins. Now, these Middle Eastern locals didn't want to be holding fake money, as it was their livelihood and secured their value long term. They went to their Middle Eastern banks, and the banks took a look and said it's all good. But the rumor was even the banks couldn't tell. So some traveled to America, and they went to the American banks. Most said they were okay, but those with forensic investigation techniques went, wait a second. Now, the people, shops, and foreign banks in the Middle East stood no chance of detection. But once the bills being accompanied by the rumor hit the States, detection was eventually spotted. By 1990, the agency in charge of dealing with counterfeit currency, the US Secret Service, was alerted. They examined the bills, and nothing of this high quality had ever been seen before in counterfeiting operations that in the past had been localized inside the US. From a 1996 New York Times article, when real journalism was still alive, they detailed the operation, titled "Super Counterfeit Hundreds Baffle US." In the article, they say the first notes initially appeared in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, where the Muslim and Christian forces were fighting in the early 1990s. Remarkable features of the notes is they are printed on intaglio presses, which imprints bills from etched plates with substantial force. Most other counterfeits are printed on offset presses, which produce flat sheets. But the huge intaglio machines are used by the United States and other large governments that print their own currency. The SuperDollars are made with rag cotton paper, as is real United States currency. They also contain tiny red and blue fibers and embedded plastic strips. In the article, it details that nearly 2/3 of the $380 billion in American currency circulates overseas, and substantial counterfeiting could undermine foreigners' confidence in the dollar, as it's the world's safest investment haven. So throughout the 90s, the scale of this problem became clear to the US. The fake currency was being produced on an industrial scale and just might have government connections because of the quality and presses used to make them. And here comes the Syrian connection. Right next to the Beeka Valley, where the Secret Service was zeroing in on the bills, was Syria. New leads emerged in 1996 when a story broke in Britain that the government of Iran tried to hire members of the IRA to assassinate 3 leading Iranian dissidents who were living in exile in the West. Payment? Loads of weapons and about $1 million in high-quality fake US currency. So back in the 1990s, as today, Iran was closely allied with Syria. Could Iran, who the US didn't believe to be the ones printing, could they have gotten them from a criminal cartel based in Syria? Now, because the IRA and Iran was involved, the CIA started their own investigation, and based on their intelligence, they believed there was $1 billion in fake currency just in the Middle East. But since this was the Secret Service's job, they responded angrily and said the figures were way less than that. 2 US government agencies fighting? No way, that never happens. So why was the Secret Service downplaying the sheer scale of this? Well, in 1994, during a state visit and unusual appearance in Syria, President Clinton asked Syrian President al-Assad, father of current President Assad, if he knew anything and he could help. And according to that New York Times article posted in 1996, Assad said he was prepared to help. So the Secret Service theory that this was just a gang in Syria was incorrect. It was a specialist intaglio printer, and the linen cotton mix it was printed on only had a couple of sellers. The Syrian gang theory went cold, but the fake money continued to be produced. Years go by and now the fake bills are all over the world. US Treasury reports begin to identify Russia as one of the main sources for the bills. Estimates put as much as 20% of US bills held by Russian banks were fake, and by 2005, the first arrests were made. In England, a small cartel was caught. With an operation so large, had they not been caught, they could have damaged the UK economy, printing $500,000 per day. But when they were caught, it was just found out they were printing high-quality copies of the SuperDollars. So now we had copies of copies. Remind you of something in crypto? Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV. But this gang was a dead end. Then one of the commanders of another Irish terrorist network was arrested trying to smuggle into Europe tens of thousands of dollars he picked up in Moscow. After this, in the US, the SuperDollars and copies began showing up, leading to 2 FBI sting operations, Operation Royal Charm and Operation Smoking Dragon, leading to arrests and millions seized, but no arrest on who was making them. By 2006, the Syria and Iran rumors were still going, and the Russian aspect was being exposed. All of a sudden, a new suspect entered the arena. The government's eyes now focused on North Korea. Now, North Korean diplomats all traveled via Moscow to other destinations, and it seemed like they were picking up SuperDollars in Moscow and using them at their destinations. Arrests happened, but because of immunity, they were let go. But then clusters of the bills started popping up in South Korea, in Chinese bordering countries. Then North Korea became the prime suspect when defectors claimed to have first-hand knowledge of counterfeiting operations. We had them. Remember all the pressure we put on North Korea from 2006 to 2009? But then those defectors admitted they lied for money and to win favor from the West. And the North Korea theory had holes. Not enough money was being found close to them and couldn't explain the Middle East spread earlier. Again, the trail went dead, but the money kept pouring out. Thus, in 2005, the US Treasury created the newest bills we see today. The 5, 10, 20, 50 all got a massive upgrade, and in 2013, the 100 got a major redesign, with the most security features as it had been the prime victim of the SuperDollar. Would this stop it? Well, it takes 7 to 15 years for old notes to go out of circulation, so not yet. And today, it is still going on, but not at the same scale it once was. December 11th, 2017, South Korea's Cub Bank found a fake that raised alarms. Previous super notes found were dated to 2001, 2003. These were dated to 2006, and even more sophisticated. Not copies of SuperDollars, but actual SuperDollars. Then, just earlier this year in February, copies and some actual SuperBills started to pop up on the darknets. If you didn't know, the darknets are the place where you use a web masking service to access websites that hide your location. And use crypto, was Bitcoin and now Monero, to purchase illegal things like fake bills. And that is what got me interested back in the day. Bitcoin, darknets, fraud, supernotes, something I had to investigate. Doing some internet sleuthing back in the day on Reddit, a post like this popped up. Bought supernotes? A bad person looking for some, with some people saying they have seen them in more recent times, with dealers' names. So this is still going on. The intaglio printer is churning out bills, just being quieter. And there is a suspect who just keeps popping up and popping up. Not Syria, not Russia, not North Korea, not China. But you will have to tune in next time as the entire story unfolds. And America is highly involved. Cheers. I'll see you next time.